So NBA 2K has basically been the same graphically since 2K14. And I always had a feeling that there wasn't much being done graphically. I mean, we can all see every single year when, they tweet out a new picture and it's basically looks the same as it has been since 2K14. And when my son, who's 11, shout out to my son Isaiah, he was asking me, he was like, yo, why Karl Anthony Towns look the same like all the other 2Ks? How come they haven't changed graphically much? And I was like, you know what, that's a good question. I said, I don't know, man. You would think that with the PS5 that you'll be able to see something crazy different from how it's been before with the other 2Ks. But I was like, be honest with you, the graphics has pretty much been the same for a very long time. I just didn't know it was 2K14 long time. So what I ended up doing was I ended up asking Chat GPT. I mean, what else would I do? Chat GPT knows everything. It's deep dive research. And I was really surprised by the answers I got. The graphics and stuff has been pretty much the same. And he gave me a breakdown of like the years of where the leap forward came and what type of improvements was done throughout the years. All right, so check this out. It was like NBA 2K14 was the big leap, all right? When 2K14 dropped on PS4, Xbox One, it blew people's minds, and that is true. So I remember 2K, from 2K13, we went 2K14, it was insane, right? 2K14, the graphics was a massive leap forward. It introduced new player models, dynamic lighting, realistic facial scanning, better skin sweat textures. It was a huge step forward from 2K13 and earlier, and that's what and that's when visuals jumped to the next gen look we mostly see today. All right? So we're basically, this is 2K14 just being retouched over and over again, right? So it was broken down like this. He said NBA 2K15 to 2K20, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, right? So that's 6 years. They said minor improvements. 2K15 added better face scans and lighting polish. 2K16 improved crowd detail and animations. 2K17, 18, 19, and 20, it was just tweaking hair, skin, and sweat textures a bit. But it was still the same engine, same core graphics. Most years, the improvements were only noticeable in side-by-side comparisons, but not during regular gameplay, which is true. When you're playing right now, you look in the background, you're playing, theoretically, we could put 2K14 up here, and it's not like you're going to be able to say, oh, that, unless you're looking at animations and that type of sort, graphically, it's going to look the same, okay? Then, NBA 2K21 next gen. This is the PS5 Series X. Now, this is when we all thought that this was going to be a massive leap forward, right? But it said with NBA 2K21 for PS5, Xbox Series X, there was another small leap, but not as dramatic as 2K14. So we got slightly more realistic skin and lighting, more expressive faces in my career scenes, new crowd animations, but nothing dramatic enough compared to 2K14, right? So basically, in a nutshell, 2K14 was a true game changer, right? 2K15 to now, it's been incremental upgrades, not a full leap forward. Unless you're zooming in on sweat, which again, remember 2K has been always big on the sweat, right? Trying to put the sweat, like look, watch how drippy they are sweating, or lighting side by side. The game has looked mostly the same for the past 10 years, just mildly improved, not revolutionized. So, what my next question was why is that? Like, why isn't it being upgraded, and why isn't it being changed? And you're gonna get some real hard truths here, okay? So I hope you're ready for this. Check this out. All right, so this is what I was told. Okay, so the big one is that 2K prioritized animations over visuals. Okay, so the movement, physics, and responsiveness matter way more than just how sharp things look. So 2K has spent more energy on things like player motion, dribbling systems, and AI than pure graphics, which we get it, right? Oh, well, I get it. I understand that just because a game looks great graphically, if the animations and the physics and responsiveness is not where it's at, it's not gonna be a good game, right? But in my opinion, it's like, bro, like, why can't we have both? Like, we have a PS5, like, you see how PC games are? Like, that is we should have the ability to have both. Like, it shouldn't be wrong as a consumer to be like, yo, we want both. We want the graphics and we want the movement, the physics, and the responsiveness, right? But then this is where I knew I was going to get the answer, because I knew this is one of them, right? And it said limited time and yearly release cycle. NBA 2K releases a new game every single year. That gives them maybe 9 to 10 months of dev time max. It's hard to completely overhaul visuals while also adding new modes, fixing bugs, and updating gameplay. And that's why I've never been a fan of an annually released game, because it is true, you're so quickly rushing every single year to get another product out just for monetary purposes. That's it, just to make more money, which again, I understand businesses need to make money, and that's just how it is in America. That's just how it is around the world. Hey, money makes the world go round. Companies, especially publicly traded companies, that's all their investors care about, is how much more money are you making me. So I understand that portion, but doing a yearly release basketball game is just insane. But that'll be a whole nother video. We'll talk about that. But I want to talk about the other big one that I didn't think about, and that's the engine itself. So the engine limitation. So 2K is still using an old custom built engine even on new gen console. I want you to understand again, they're using an old custom built engine even on new gen consoles. It says that limits how much they can upgrade graphics. Unreal Engine 5 would give them better realism by switching, which would take years. So I want you to understand that their Unreal Engine is by far the best engine out there on the market. If you look at any game that in your head that you played that was visually amazing, you're like, oh my God, this looks so real, right? This is the most realistic game I've ever seen. There was some stuff on Twitter that was maybe a year ago where a guy was in a factory, a beat down, an old factory. He had like a flashlight and he had a gun and he was walking around, he was shooting, and it looks so real. That's Unreal Engine 5, right? You know, you seen with Fortnite, that's Unreal Engine 5, and what people were doing with that graphically, with the mods and stuff, that's Unreal Engine 5, okay? So just keep that in mind. So then my follow-up question is, well, why won't 2K just go to upgrade Unreal Engine 5? And it basically came down to, it's been heavily modified and built up over decades, going back to early 2000 when Visual Concepts was making games for Dreamcast and PlayStation 2. They've just stacked features on top of features since then, especially when they made the jump from NBA 2K14. You see, once again, NBA 2K14 pops up once again. So again, 14 has basically been if you're talking about a family tree, that is the roots. Everything, it seems like it's sprouting from 2K14. Okay, that has been the birthplace of what we've been seeing all the way up to now for the past 10 years. The other major kicker is that Unreal has licensing costs, okay? So, which I didn't know that, but I kind of now, when I was told that, I was like, duh, that kind of makes sense. So 2K's custom engine, which they've been using, just stacking features on top of feature on, they own that one. Unreal takes a cut of revenue past a certain amount, especially on high-selling titles, which of course 2K would be high-selling titles. So for a game like 2K that makes hundreds of millions, even a small royalty becomes huge money that they're losing. But then it goes even further, because this is what really 2K's engine is being stacked on. So yes, of course, licensing a engine that's going to cost, to take millions upon millions of dollars, and don't want to use that. Okay, that's one thing. But the other one is that the in-house engine is deeply woven with VC systems, My Team pack logic, and server architecture, etc. Rebuilding that in Unreal would mean rewriting decades of monetization systems. That part that makes them the most money. It's always gonna come back to money. So not only do they want to give up the licenses or have to pay that royalty of licensing for a real graphically improved game, but their own engine themselves is just highly woven on making them so much more money with the VC and the My Team packs. So by making that switch, obviously that is going to hit their bottom line once again. So basically, in a nutshell, 2K doesn't care about Unreal Engine 5 right now because the engine still sells like crazy, right? They prioritize content systems, VC, and online features over visuals, which we talked about. And the big one here is that the audience, which is us, isn't demanding a complete engine overhaul yet. Now, I do know, like, I do kind of pay attention to the Apex community, and that has been something that was really big about an overhaul. We do know Call of Duty, they went over to Unreal Engine, okay? So there are companies that are switching over to Unreal Engine, but as far as the 2K community goes, we kind of just been in cruise control since 2K14. We haven't been saying like, yo, why are the graphics still the same since 2K14? It hasn't been a massive push for that. Then my last question was, could 2K make a smooth, gorgeous game in Unreal Engine 5? And this is where I was like, bruh, this is what made me want. Now I started thinking like, damn, like what would it look like? It said, yes, absolutely. In fact, NBA 2K will be the perfect kind of game for Unreal Engine because it has controlled environments with just arenas and courts, limited number of players on a screen, not 100 players like a battle royale, most indoor lighting, easy to optimize, no open world chaos like GTA or Starfield. If Visual Concepts took 2 to 3 years and built 2K from scratch on Unreal Engine 5, they could give us photorealistic players and crowds. Like you take a picture of LeBron James and that's what we're going to be seeing in the game. Sweat glistening in real-time lighting, realistic foot planting, and cloth physics. We're talking about cloth meaning clothes, like the jerseys and that type of stuff. Super immersive crowd sound using Unreal Engine 5's spatial audio. And they could do it all at 60 frames per second, no problem, if they take the time to optimize for consoles and PC. So I ended with this. 2K could look like a real life TNT broadcast if they use Unreal Engine 5, but they're too locked into a system that makes too much money as is.